Alright guys, we're gonna another video here for you guys, and we're gonna be starting some big master cultures of isopods. I got smaller groups of isopods and I want to start making bigger cultures, so we're gonna come over here and I got these nice little bins from Walmart, and they have these nice little vents. I guess they're for dryer sheets, and I got them from Walmart. I saw them and I figured instead of drilling holes, this is a nice way to ventilate the top. And I started one here. I did do a video, but the dogs decided to freak out in the video, so I'm not going to be posting this one. So I figured I'd show you the next video. So these are the tropical purple. Yeah, the dwarf purple. And they are blooming really good. If you come closer and zoom in a little bit, you'll be able to see them. There's a whole bunch of them here. And there's just tons of them in here. So as I dig through here, if you come over here, there's more. They are loaded in here. So I moved them to a lot bigger room, and I don't have the supplies yet, but I will be taking this piece off, and then I'll screen this off or something with something tight, maybe a cheesecloth or something I'll be able to find. But I have another culture that's starting to do really good, and I want to get them into something a lot bigger. These are going to be my giant orange, my giant powder orange. As you can see, they're really going nuts. So there's a ton of babies in here, so I'm going to be moving them to something bigger. Look at all the babies. That's just awesome. I love these guys. They seem to be breeding really fast for me, so that's really cool. So I really want to get these guys into something bigger. I'll show you a few other cultures I have of isopods, but for now we're going to be putting theirs together. We might not be able to put them in there right away because we'll have to let the humidity build up a little bit and moisture, because what I'm working with is some dry goods, which would be peat moss and eco earth and carbon or charcoal. I got some natural charcoal over here, so we'll be using that, and some active carbon, which you can get at any like aquarium store. They use it for filtration. And then we have some extra leaves I have laying around, so we'll be using some of these just so they have something more to feed on. And I got a couple of bags of stuff laying around, but that's about it. The only thing I'm missing right now is probably the sphagnum moss to help hold humidity in certain areas, which I will get later on. It's not like something that's crucial, long as these two are pretty moist. And you want to typically have like a dry section, so I'm glad I'm moving them into something bigger so they have more places to move around. And then over here I got a bunch of extra wood that I'll be using. I baked. It was from my 150 that I broke down, so 150 is no longer existent. So I took a bunch of wood out of there and I baked it down, make sure no other bugs are going to be getting in these cultures. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to add some of this. You don't have to have a perfect mixture. This is just kind of like, it's almost an ABG. There's a few things missing, and it's not a perfect mixture. It's not all measured out. I'm just kind of eyeing it until I fill it up. It won't have to be perfect. So I just added some sphagnum moss, and now I'm adding some eco earth. Oh, peat moss, which is just sphagnum moss broken down. And now I'm going to add a little bit of this carbon, which you want to do very slowly because you don't want to breathe in the dust of the carbon. And if you're doing it, most of the time you want to be in a ventilated area and have a mask. So I just go very slowly with it. And don't breathe in that dust because it can get pretty dusty. You don't need a whole lot of this, just a little bit. And this is the fun part because your hands get all black. So I'm going to use some of this natural wood charcoal, which I find at Whole Foods. Usually carries it for me. And I usually smash it up, so I got some smaller pieces towards the bottom. So I'll be throwing in a couple of these, as you see. Not like tiny, but they'll do. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can also layer the bottom with this too, so kind of you can have a false bottom where you can drain out any excess water, but most of the time you don't really get a lot of water in the bottom of your cultures because you don't want to overwater them. There's some wood still in here. That's pretty cool. So I'm just going to put in a couple handfuls of this. And then I'll probably put some big chunks on top so they have something to climb on and hide under and stuff like that. This species likes a lot of leaf litter and a lot of wood. So I'll be adding some bigger pieces of wood in there for them. So I'm just going to mix this in right now. I wish I had this bag to mix in, but you know, I can mix it in after. It's not a big deal. I even might add a little more soil to this. But like I said, these guys like to crawl on, they don't really dig so much. They like to crawl on dead pieces of wood and leaf litter, and they'll hide under that. So I'll take a little bit of this, and I'm going to crunch it into this. And then I'll mix this in. You'll be able to eat this and break it down quick. I actually had leaf litter in there when I got them, and that was about a month ago I got them. Maybe a month and a half. And they already broke down the leaves. So the leaves are already gone. So I just added some wood to their culture. And they already seem to be working on that. And so that's looking pretty good there. And just a little bit of spag or I forgot the name of it. Might as well add all this. There you go, you gonna sneeze?
Nope.
So we'll take a bunch of this. Actually, let's add some water first. I'll mix that in there. You guys are probably like, oh no, what is he doing? There's so much water. Everything's just floating. It works pretty well when you squeeze it into it. You can squeeze it right in. Takes a second, but this is the funnest part. If you don't like getting your hands dirty, then you're not gonna like vivariums in general. Just the smell of dirt and playing with it. I feel like a child again. You can see as I squeeze it in there, it's just slowly soaking it up. So fairly quick. So I'll probably be able to add them in here. Because it seems like it's taking pretty quick. Usually peat moss takes forever to soak up stuff, but when you squeeze it like this, it absorbs it quicker. And I want some dry spots, so it'd be nice for them to find somewhere dry to go. So that's looking pretty good. Nice and humid, wet. Nice chunks of charcoal. Now we can add a couple of bigger pieces. Get get a couple of bigger pieces in there. Something to hide under. There we go. I like to do this with my springtails. I'll make a ABG mix for them, and then I put bigger pieces of charcoal on the top, and that way when I'm going to feed my springtails to my pets, I'll be able to just take this and I can tap it off inside. But that's a whole different story. We'll get into that later. Let's add some leaf litter. So we'll kind of add the leaf litter to one side. We snap a couple of these. That's probably good. Doesn't have to go crazy. As they eat it, I can always add more. And then we'll add a couple of pieces of wood. It's really brittle from baking it. Just break that up pretty good. Another thing I usually add too is some orchid bark. You can get some natural orchid bark without any fertilizers or anything. That usually works pretty good. I like to mix that in there. I use that for a lot of my setups and making my own ABG mix. So, alright, so that's typically it for these guys. And let's hose them down a little bit, kind of low in water. And what I usually feed them is any extra vegetables we have, and every now and then a little bit of fish food. I like to feed them. It doesn't really matter. I feed them all sorts of fish food. Even feed them frog bites and little tadpole food, and sometimes just don't overfeed them. You want them to make sure they're going to be able to eat whatever you're giving them. And another thing I use cuttle bone for some protein and calcium, mostly calcium I should say. And cuttle bone you can find at any pet store. They use it for birds. It's that bone that birds chew on to take care of their beak and clean their beak and stuff. But this is basically a cuttle bone. I have some more of it. I'll be showing you because I'm going to put some bigger pieces in here. This is the cuttle bone. They love chewing on this. I catch them on it all the time. So that's always good to have in a culture when you're culturing these. As you can see in here, I did have some I forget the name of it. It's the wood we'll use for your fruit fly cultures. I had a whole bunch of extra at the bottom of the bag, and I figured, hey, it's wood, they're going to eat it, they'll break it down. As you can see, they're all climbing it. You can see them all. So they are breaking it down. If I spill a little in my tank sometimes when I'm feeding my frogs, and I dig through that, I find a whole bunch of them in it. So as you can see, here's like one of the last leaves that were left. So they're absolutely chewing these up. And what I'm doing here in the tank right now is I'm creating a dryer / humid spot for them to feed on any wood or hide, and then I'll have a feeding side which I'll be able to spray down. So I'll probably spray down this half and then keep this half a little dry. Let it vary. But as you can see, I got some potato wedges. I catch them chewing on these a little bit, but this is some sweet potato, and it seems like they're eating the sweet potato more than the regular potatoes. But like I said, don't overfeed. Make sure they eat whatever you have in here first, or you can remove something if you're going to add something new. Because if you leave food around in here too long, you're going to start getting mites. But I'm just going to pour these guys right in here, so that way I'm not digging at them and hurting them. As you can see, there's a whole bunch of them in there. I think these guys are just gorgeous looking. Just beautiful. Look at the coloration in this one. Fast. But these will be good for like bigger dark frogs or bigger frogs in general. Like I said, there's nothing in there now because they don't dig to the bottom very much. They stay at the surface. But see, I have a spag usually mixed in there. Add a human corner or something for them. Look at the tons of kids. So these guys are growing pretty quick. So I'm happy to move them into something bigger. That's about it. I'll probably add a little extra food just because this culture seems to be growing and they're eating everything pretty quick. They also have plenty of food right now for this. So I'll add food later for them. So, but I eventually want to move all my isopods into something bigger like this. You know, I'll be able to have nice ventilation for them. As you've seen, I have my tropical pinks already. Well, tropical purples. I always call them pink because I'm thinking tropical pinks, springtails, but yeah. So this is the next culture I'll probably be moving into another setup. And they seem to be blooming pretty quick. These are my micro stripes. And they seem to be moving pretty quick. So there's a ton of them in here. You can see here's some more cuttlebone. And these are the micro stripes. They're they can be difficult to tell between the dwarf white. But as you can see, most of these have a stripe down their back. It's hard to tell, I know, but these guys should be going into a culture soon. A lot bigger culture than this because they are just blooming like crazy. Look at them all. So these will be the next ones. I'm probably not going to make a video of it. I'll probably do an overall video when I get a lot of them into bigger bins like this. I'll do a showcase video for them because it's all pretty much the same setup, and I just can't believe how quick these guys are at breeding. Only having them 2 months at the max, I think. Can't remember when I bought them, but as you can see, I got like 25 of them. Now there's got to be over 50. It's got to be over 100. Now that I'm looking at it with them all crawling around. Fast breeders. But I think that about rounds up the video. Figured I'd show you off some of my tanks. I just did some glass cleaning. Just do a little walkthrough really quick at the end of the video before I leave you guys. They're all doing pretty good. Growing in quite nicely. All my frogs seem to be doing pretty good. Everything looks great. These guys have been breeding for me, which I'll show you in a second. I got some tadpoles of them. And my mints, they seem to be fogging up right now. This fan that I have it just sucks. I gotta do something about that because this gets so much condensation on the front glass, it just fogs right up after I clean it, and it's pointless. But these are some of their babies, the Bulkus. You can see one right there. There's about 7 of them in here, and they're doing pretty good. And my 2 orange Terribilis will be getting a tank soon. I'm working on their tank right now. I gotta finish up some last things, some drilling some holes, and then the front door, which I'll be doing a video on the front door, so don't let me forget to do that. But there's our margaritas that we made tonight, and I'll be doing something with them coming up. Probably my next video actually, the marbled salamanders. And These are my fire bellies, which I'm gonna reduce the water because they're not fully aquatic yet. They're not quite adults. I can tell they haven't been going in the water much. My moss thing is still doing great. These are some, usually they're out, but they're not out right now. It's some, redback salamanders, which are pretty cool. They came along with the marbled salamanders. And up here are some of my kids. We got some, tadpoles. These are from the Bulkus, which are doing really great. I got about 7 of them. And then I got one more in here. I don't know if you can really see it. Probably not. I had a whole bunch in there. They were looking really good, and then all of a sudden they started molding over, and one's doing really good. So I figured I'll let it sit and wait. I think they were kind of being pretty active today. There's the little male. So I don't know if there's probably some more in there. I'll have to look after. They've been putting them in that petri dish and in the film canister. So, all right, guys. So that's about it on the video. Have a good night. Enjoy it. Share. Leave some comments below and give me a thumbs up. Later.